everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Spawn. I'm, of course, Day, and I'm joined by Verdict, who does not have his camera on today. And, of course, we have the special guest, Coach Image, two-time Stage 5 championship coach. How's it going, everybody?
Been pretty good. How about you?
Doing pretty solid. What about you, Verdict?
Oh, we're rocking and rolling, baby.
Let's go, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a ton to go over today, guys. Probably going to be a pretty short episode. Um, Obviously, we've already gone over a lot of the rule controversy in our previous couple weeks. We obviously had our very special guest with Shift a couple weeks back as well, me, Bobby, and Shift. So that was fun. And today we've got Image, and we're pretty much just going to run through kind of the current competitive scene, looking at some of the teams for a couple of the regions, and really kind of get a grasp from Image of what we can expect for this coming up season.
Yes, sir. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So, Image, I assume you've obviously been keeping up with the current competitive scene, yeah?
Oh, you cut out.
I was just saying, surely you've kept up with the current competitive scene.
Oh, yeah. I have been.
All right. Well, I'm probably pretty much going to let Verdict field any of the questions for Europe, and I'll run through NA since he's the main European broadcaster, and I do cast both of the days of North America as well. And since we have you here, we obviously do have two teams in North America currently that actually feature basically your whole roster from last season, right? I mean, we have Goofy
Yeah.
Goobers, who has a couple of the players, and then Seminole, who's rocking through with obviously Bolu and Marshy, and they tend to be two of the teams that we see pretty consistently at the top. I don't think anybody should be shocked by that. Do you? I mean, do you have any sort of affiliation with either of those teams in North America currently, or?
Uh, like in terms of the Yuffie Goobers, I'm pretty tight with those guys. I come in to help like every now and then, but I haven't been there the past month just because I'm just taking a mental break from CODM in general. Um, Yeah, been mostly coaching other regions just because that's when I have time off. And by the time I'm done, I'm just like too tired to even coach. I just want to play Apex.
Definitely understandable. Me and Verdict will have to jump on that Apex grind with you at some point. I mean, I guess since you mentioned you're coaching a couple different regions, is that anything you can mention to us on what teams
Oh,
you're coaching or?
yeah, yeah. Well, in Europe there, well, you guys know about the whole anarchy thing where I did start coaching them for a week and then I just got dropped. Just friendship type stuff with the manager and no communication with the team. That actually led to Anarchy having half their roster like leaving, and then over in Garena, I coach that Tyrant Esports here and there, mostly because I'm pretty tight with some of those players. Back when I used to play Ross, and yeah, a lot of the times, like after practice, I'd just be chatting away with those guys while the NA people are asleep.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I definitely saw that announcement. I think I saw like kind of the leak at first. I think they had one tweet go out that wasn't quite ready to publish, and they took it down. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then sure enough, obviously the post came out later on that. So that's definitely huge for you, making big moves in the scene, coaching multiple different regions. And Verdict, do you have any questions you want for maybe the EU side of things?
I know that we talked, off stream a lot about, the differences in NA and EU, and Day and I will continue to hark on the fact that there's a wider talent pool in EU in comparison to NA. What's it like coaching, multiple regions? What's it like, what kind of struggles do you see on a regular basis? I know that clearly, NA has shown to be one of the most prominent regions in COD Mobile, but you know, as far as being, you know, having your hands in other regions and whatnot, EU, Garena, as you just mentioned, and of course you have affiliations with Goofy Goobers. Like, what are your like, I guess, primary focuses when you're going in to coach a team? In Garena, you know, what are their struggles like? You know, I don't know too much about the region, so I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
So the one thing that I notice a lot from the regions is they have really bad comms. So I'm pretty sure you guys have had listeners on Goofy Goobers, Seminoles, Cygnus, those teams, and they have phenomenal comms. Usually, Yo Mama too. Can't forget about those guys.
Oh yeah,
Um, when I'm like in EU, their comms are very like relaxed, maybe too relaxed, in a sense, and that leads to a lot of like miscommunication or teams not even like being too focused. Because comms, like the more intense the comms are, everybody's like more aware of their surroundings and such, and that's what makes like intense games. But I guess it's different there because, as you can see, their games are still competitive, but at the same time, a lot of them like could be a whole lot different if the comps were there. In Garena, their comps are also pretty bad. Um, a lot of the times, it's just like the main call out. It's like I'm listening to comps from season one actually when I go to both regions, and it's not just those regions. I know that Flower he coaches in India, and he tells me the same thing. How can I get these guys to improve comms and such, and it's just not there. Like we have an expectation, and all these other regions don't really meet it yet. But they definitely all have like better talent pool than NA.
I would
not using that talent pool to its fullest is what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of the focus is more on like getting to gunfights. Like, they have an understanding of, oh, let's get the rotation in, let's get the kills in, but without those comps, you see a lot of times teams are rotating way too late, or you only have half the team rotating, and yeah, that all does come down to comps. So you see that a lot in other regions.
I would say that's actually a great point to bring up. That's one of the things that me and Verdict specifically have been really critical on teams this season. I mean, we definitely have a couple standout teams for each region. I would say Elysium for EU, and then um, honestly, Midnight Gaming for NA are two teams that's like no matter when we jump into their comms, doesn't matter if they're winning, doesn't matter if they're losing. There's just arguments. There's so much information going on, and there's no specific person who's really kind of funneling that information and being that shot caller for the team, that IGL. And that's where we see those teams really struggle. Is they're teams that actually have really good slayers on the team, but they just have no direction, and you can see that's one of the things that keeps them down. Even when they get advantages early on, we do see them drop pretty regularly. And we've also pointed out a couple times, and it's for various teams, and sometimes you're going to make mistakes. It happens. But I remember specifically the other night, me and Verdict were watching one specific call out where it was a 2v2, or yeah, it was a 2v2 on firing range search and destroy. And there were two players pushing A long, and on the defense side of things, there was one person watching A, one person watching B. And the trade came through on A long. It was a 1-for-1, so all of a sudden you're sitting in a 1v1 scenario. It was like 10 or 15 seconds before that other player like even stopped holding the sight line that they were at. The bomb got planted. They ended up losing the round on a late rotation. So comms definitely super super important when you're wanting to compete at that top level of competition, and we definitely see several teams struggle with that. So it's interesting to hear that even past like the English spectrum, obviously we do get some other languages in LATAM slash NA, I guess at that point, and then also Europe. We have I think a couple French teams, right, Verdict?
Yeah, we got a couple French teams. Yeah.
So even past kind of the more western part of the world, there's definitely some comm problems there as well. It sounds.
Yeah, just to like add into that, it's not that the comms are even bad. It's just like the intensity of the comm is like not there in some regions, and you can tell because it's either players are not used to having intense comms, or players just sometimes don't listen to comms and they just react based on instinct. So I'd say like in that situation, maybe the player that that died, he did call it out, but his teammate just didn't respond to the call out, or he just wanted to play it differently. But yeah,
That's definitely an interesting aspect of the game. Obviously, you come from a background with at least one very vocal team in Tribe. Now, granted, Tribe did have its own struggle points, right?
yeah.
The comms I think were always really strong for them. So um, definitely going to be interesting to see where you take some of the teams that you're working with this season. Obviously, you mentioned you have some affiliations with Goofy Goobers, and they do tend to be one of the strongest teams in the region, and their comms are usually on point. Does seem like maybe if they're down, they tilt a little bit, and you can definitely hear it in the energy of the voice. The aura of that chat does go a little dark, but um, overall, pretty solid team. Why don't you tell us a little bit about more about kind of your view into the European scene, and I'll let Verdict really chime in on this one as well.
I think the European scene, I don't know why it happens this way, but after champs, they hit like a reset button, and then every team doesn't know how to play together. Like even if it's a team that had just had a couple player changes, like it's a full reset button where teams don't know how to play comp. Um, Early on when it was like Animus, I mean they had Zim too, so that was like a great guide for them. But when I came onto Anarchy, they had an idea of how to play. They just didn't know how to execute it, and these players were all like experienced in the comp scene. So I think that EU will get stronger later on, as they always do, and the competition there will always be high. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for.
What was it like when you were with Anarchy to because we noticed an immediate like um you know just a complete turnaround from a team that we didn't necessarily overlook but just really didn't consider to be a top contending team until they beat Animus in a 2-1 situation and all of a sudden they're top tier and everyone is or Day and I are just shooting just all kind of positivity up their way. Like what do you what is it you like what's the word I'm looking for? How do you dive into a team like that and I mean obviously they've got the experience, but how are you able to make them produce and compete against teams that they I wouldn't say wouldn't have business beating, but at a time like that, we were thinking that Animus was unbeatable. I mean, let's just be real. What was that kind of process like? Like, where did you break it down step by step? What were some of the like feedback that you gave to the team? I'm probably going to take a little bit of Goul's question because I just posted on Twitter. Like, how did you spread your feedback and your constructive criticism to players like that and make them give instant results?
Well, at the very start, they like they admitted right away like they had gun steel, they just didn't know what to do. They were willing to learn. And when I joined the team, the first thing I was actually kind of doing was trying to build a bond with the players so that they can understand where I'm coming from and I can understand where they're coming from. And then the first day, what I did was I pretty much just watched how they played, and then after games we talk about like what they could have done better, and then I just keep telling them like your play is great, your rotations aren't there. Like if they had the rotations and they had the hold, they would play like even better. So after that, like day two, we were working more on rotation, our team play, executing things together, and that helped a lot on the second day, and that like they improved immensely. When a team is willing to learn, and when a team like wants to work together, then that's when they improve, and that was like very evident with that team. I actually wasn't there that day during the Animus versus Anarchy. I was actually working, so I couldn't be with them at that time. But I wasn't really like too nervous about the matchup. I knew that they could beat them. We scrimmed them a couple times, and we won most of our scrims against them. So I was pretty confident with them.
Um, Specifically, since we were obviously talking about um, Anarchy, Animus, and kind of that whole matchup, it seemed like after that match, the team, I don't necessarily want to say fell apart, but I mean, there was some pretty major roster changes coming after that, right? Um,
Yes, yeah.
Let me pull that up real quick and I can hit on exactly what we had go on there. Um,
So
yeah, so obviously the big thing is going to be the drop of Markey, Feints, and Barixta with the pickup of Genius and Darox.
yeah, so how that happened was when Tyrant revealed their roster, I wanted to troll around with Cloudem Esports on Twitter because I know that they would have posted it. So I told the owner of Tyrant to just add me in there to make it look like I'm like the head coach and stuff. And he posted it on Twitter, and then about a few hours later, I get a message from the manager on Anarchy that the players don't feel like they feel confident with me coaching multiple regions, and I'd reach out to the players, and they said they don't really think it's a problem. So it was just the manager. So I just left on my own, and the players didn't really like that whole ordeal. So the ones that wanted to stay with me, they kind of left, and the ones that wanted to just stay with Anarchy just stayed there. But yeah, that's why that whole roster split up happened, and the team kind of didn't want to be with each other because they kind of had like a fight, I guess, after, because of this whole
So,
situation.
so what you're saying is you have another team in EU.
Uh,
That's all I
maybe,
heard.
maybe, maybe,
I
maybe.
mean, he's
Okay.
not wrong. He's
Yeah.
not wrong. We
No.
we have a loss of Feints on Anarchy, a
Well,
loss
no,
of
no, no.
Markey and
Keywords
Brixta,
there
Yeah.
and
were keywords were there. He said, if
No,
people
okay,
who
so
wanted to stay with him stayed with him. We're just not going to keep tinkering at it.
well,
I just
that is what I'm saying too,
but
right? Because
but I
they're
mean,
not on any other
you're kind of
rosters.
right. They are making a team right now.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
interesting.
The problem,
I don't want to dig too deep.
well, the
You know.
problem right now is I got a new job, like I told you guys, and my work hours are pretty intense. So I'd love to coach more of that team. Just unfortunate that a lot of my work hours are during their practice times, so I'm not able to go to their practice times. But once that team is formed, I'll try to help out in any way I can. I mean, it's free money, right? Like it's good money. It's good experience for everybody. Like everybody wins when they put their heart out there. That type of deal.
Like it, like the energy.
Definitely looking forward to that roster though, because there's a lot of talent that left the Anarchy team that didn't go anywhere else. I mean, again, Feints, Markey, Brixta, all top tier players from Europe, and I expected when they dropped off that roster to see them pop up here and there on other teams, and we haven't yet. So I'm definitely glad to hear they're not just out and they are. You guys got something going on in the background that you're trying to figure out. That's awesome to me. So glad we'll get to see the return of them. What would you say as far as the EU scene? What do you think the most impressive team has been? And maybe the most lackluster. And what I mean by that is, what team did you maybe not as expect as much out of that really shined? And then are there any teams that you expected a lot out of that didn't perform? And obviously everybody who's watched EU knows mine and Verdict's answer on that. But I just thought, Image, obviously with your involvement in the scene, you might have a little bit more in depth of a breakdown and maybe a different answer.
Uh, I definitely think that Omni. I know that they're already at the top, or not Omni. Animus. Animus. You guys already know they're like at the top. You know that's like the X stamina roster. Um, I did expect them to like not be up there right away, but with the help with Zim, they're you can definitely see like they're getting stronger and they're being more dominant in that scene. Um, on the other side, Omni was the roster I did expect to perform better. I was actually like when I was going to EU, it was either Omni and Anarchy. The problem was there was a lot of fighting in Omni, and I didn't really like that environment where there was more arguments than like figuring out what to do to get better. I mean, they were trying to figure out what to do better, but the arguments were like just piled up on top, and so nothing constructive was ever um, coming out of that.
Very, very interesting. I think Verdict, you'll probably agree with me here. I think like the most impressive team that we have seen has been Illuminati. Probably largely because we watched their climb all the way through qualifiers, and then we probably agree on Omni not having performed as well.
100%.
Yeah, I'd actually put Illuminati up there too. They're a pretty good squad.
Yeah, I think Illuminati has surprised us the most out of anybody that, any team, regardless of being in the qualifiers or not, but definitely uh, the biggest producing qualifier team. As a matter of fact, I mean, they've literally shut our, thoughts of them not being like a top tier team out of qualifiers, tenfold just off, not necessarily results wise, but just the way that they have continuously gotten better. Their comms are always so positive. There's a lot of energy on the team. They're a bundle of joy to cast. They're like one of those teams that you can always rely on to be able to jump in the comms and everything's smooth. And if it's not smooth in game, like you're gonna get a little bit of afterwards. On Twitter, they're gonna post those comms that we listen in on and laugh with us, and those are the kind of guys that I like casting on a regular basis. That
Boot
team,
is hilarious.
Food is hilarious, man. I don't care what it is. Anytime he's in the lobby, I get excited, and it's not too often that just one player, can get me excited about spectating and casting a full team. So, and then that's just like the iceberg of it all. The team's pretty solid. I think they have shown the most promise out of EU, and I think that out of both regions, they have single hand. Well, they're probably the only one that are in a position to, compete in a playoff position. Granted, Omni are right there in points wise. Omni has been anything but consistent, and that worries me. And I know that worries them too. So, looking forward to seeing if Omni can turn it around. I'm also, super excited to cast more Illuminati moving forward.
You know what I think it could be too, and like it's happened. Like this is why the reason why we won world championships on both the teams I coached. That underdog mindset, where you think that every team is going to be able to beat you, so you have to work harder. That's probably what Illuminati has going on right now. So
You're right.
they're more prepared than every other team. Like that's what I'm thinking. Because
I'm with you.
if they're able to perform that well, then that means that team thinks that every team can beat them and will beat them. So they're doing everything possible to prepare for every team. And in Tribe, when we were in Western, we didn't think we would even do it past our group stage. It was a group of death. See the teams on our group, we didn't think
Yeah.
we'd make it out. And Blacklist, they didn't think they were even gonna make it out of groups neither. We had iPhone 6s, while a lot of the teams in our region had Xperias and had better preparation. I mean, I thought that me coming in late was gonna be a disadvantage as well, but look where that turned out. I think that underdog mindset is really good for
I like it,
teams.
and I think the casters like casting teams that have that mindset too, because at one point Anarchy was that team. Anarchy still, well, Anarchy of past, Navi in stage 5. That
Hmm.
team just, I mean, they put us on Imperium Night. We kind of shrugged it off, and sure enough, they ended up putting up some of the best games that we ever had, an opportunity to cast. And, it's not that we don't enjoy casting other teams, but when you do get that one team that's special that turns everything around, it's a unique experience. It definitely does. And to see them be able to compete in the stage 5, you know, scenario was just awesome. Granted, they didn't have the best games. They had, very crappy situations that they had to work with, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of the teams had, equally amount of distracting and scenarios that we
Yeah.
wish wouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We enjoyed watching that talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing what team is going to be able to bring that to the table this year.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there was a single team that didn't face any hardships in stage 5. So at the end of the day, like, we all got screwed somehow.
True. Yeah, Day and I had a little rant on stream for stage 5. We weren't happy campers, but at the same time, I
I
guess
mean,
we were
that's
happy that we got a next level event, which was kind of awesome in its own.
I'm gonna be honest with you. My frustration with Stage 5 is why we didn't launch the spawn earlier. So,
Yeah,
that was a matter of, with it being a Mobile Mayhem production. I was like, man, I could say some stuff that gets me in big trouble, So
yeah.
we did put it off a little bit, but obviously we're here now, and I think you guys definitely bring up a good point on kind of that underdog team that maybe could have chances to go all the way, and if you look at Illuminati's history throughout qualifiers till now, I mean that's a team that got 2-0'd by Omni in the first round of qualifiers, came all the way back to face them in the grand finals, got 3-0'd by Omni in the qualifier finals. Opened up with a match against um, their first match was against Elysium, who they were able to take down 2-0. Then came back the following day of broadcast and 2-0'd Omni, the team that essentially 5-0'd them in qualifiers. They've had a pretty tough run of matches since then. They went up against FN420, which they lost 2-0. They went up against 117 Not Found. They lost 2-0. They went up against Nova, and I think it was the Search and Destroy, but they were able to snag a game away from Nova, which really kind
yep.
of shows how much they've been able to progress. And I don't necessarily want to call them like this season's Anarchy for EU.
Too early, too early.
It's still very, very early in the scene, not only for Illuminati themselves, but for the rest of the region. I mean, we just had a major roster overhaul for that entire region. There's plenty of teams that are struggling. We've obviously seen 117 Not Found, which is a star-studded team, not come through with a lot of consistency, as well as some of the other teams in the mix as well. So, um, not calling them the Anarchy of the season, but definitely saying that they're a team that I want to look out for moving forward. Um, they're players that we've seen here and there in the scene, but really haven't had a ton um, to go on yet. And even in seasons past, we've seen like Gore on a team here and there. We've seen Mojito on a team here and there. I think we saw Star Ricker once before. But I think Boot, Villain, and Chris are all like brand new talent into the scene. Um,
Chris
Verdict's
is our manager, right?
Chris is their manager
I'm
according
kidding. I'm kidding.
according to Verdict, but I think that's probably a pretty good place to wrap up for EU since we're already at about the 30-minute mark. So we'll just go
Sure, yeah.
through and hit through some NA, and then we'll give you some shout out time at the end, and as well if you want to let us know how your teams are doing in other regions as well, since obviously you're multitasking pretty heavily. You are more than welcome
Oh,
to
I
uh,
haven't been
to do
lately.
so. Oh, you haven't been lately? Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, aside from we obviously talked about Seminole and Goofy Goobers, that does leave us 8
Mm-hmm.
other teams in North America to look at, and I kind of do want that kind of same breakdown that you guys just had for Europe. And what team do you think has surprised you the most, and what team would you say has been the most disappointing so far?
Um, well, what are the other 8 teams? Like,
Uh, so
I,
so Yo
I
Mama,
know.
11T, Cygnus are kind of the next big three that I think you would
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um,
Can't think of the other ones though.
Explicit, Shred It, Midnight, Storm, and I believe we had one team drop out, and it's now Status Quo, or it was a rebrand to Status Quo.
Uh,
Um, and it looks like they picked up Moralto, so a little bit interesting there. We obviously haven't seen them play yet. I don't even know if that's official, so if I just threw some info out there that I wasn't supposed to be, I do
If
apologize.
it's in Discord, it's public info.
It's not in Discord yet, as far as I know.
It is. I saw it
Is it?
already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't when I looked earlier, but it's definitely on the spreadsheet. So yeah, that status quo roster is 30 Atrophius, Moralto, Will YT, King Amor
King eh?
Cartels, Whisper, and Hell.
Wait, King has played?
Uh, King yeah. He's
Wait,
on.
he's actually played?
We haven't
Like
seen
a
them play
match
yet.
in MM? Oh, he hasn't.
No, he
Oh,
plays
okay.
this coming up week.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah.
sounds like there's some flaming about to happen.
No, because I know him. I know him.
That
He's pretty
sounded like you
cool.
were shocked. You're like, that shitter's playing in
No,
MM?
no, because last I heard, he wanted to come into COD for champs last year, right? And then he couldn't find a good team, so he just dropped out. And then I thought that was it for him with COD. Then yeah, I'm kind of like pretty happy he's gonna come
kind of
back
sounds
in.
like Sixless a couple years ago.
Yeah. Biggest surprise team. I wouldn't really call them a surprise because they are probably one of the more consistent growing team. Is Explicit, and for them to beat Doofy Goobers, like that's pretty pretty great on them. Mind you that like Doofy Goobers has been like inconsistent as of late, but they made a couple of roster changes, and I think they might be even more consistent now. Explicit, they might be actually picking up a new player, so definitely keep watch of that. Another team that did surprise me was Midnight. Um, Having Annabella play and for her to be like kind of carrying that team. I know they haven't like really been super successful, but that's pretty it's pretty surprising in my books. The team that is disappointing is Goofy Goobers because just the performance the past couple of weeks hasn't been great. So yeah, that's my um, opinion on it. Yo Mama actually, um, well, you already know like any of them seems gonna be a competitor, so it's like not too much of a surprise for me there.
All right, I am, I believe, also seeing something that we talked about last night, in which I am just, I'm hurt. Image, okay, I'm hurt. I
Why? What happened?
see, I see Solo officially on the Goofy Goobers roster now.
Yeah.
How are you gonna come through and tell me last night it was something you were just having fun with?
Dude,
And now I'm
why would he say anything before it's official? Like
Because here's
you
the
could have
thing.
told us on a light note though. We don't like the gossip, you know.
No, there is a final roster that was supposed to happen. That original Goofy Goober's lineup was pretty much like a trial of what we wanted to see, and if it works out, it would have worked out. And then there was a roster that me and Clout wanted to go over, so um, that's what's happening now. For me, I haven't really been with the team like as of late, so like a lot of the decisions have been coming from actually the team itself and Clout. So those are the guys that are working together on making those decisions.
Gotcha. Well, very, very cool. Do you have any particular expectations for this season, for example? For either Europe or NA, or do you want to let us know a little bit about what you got going on in some of your other regions before we close on out of here?
Um, I'm not coaching much teams now. Just because it is the off season, and I did find myself like a pretty good like full time job, so I won't be coaching those teams as much anymore. Most of the time, I'll probably just pop in and out with Goofy Ubers, or if I have like evening shifts, I'll probably pop in and out with the Tyrant team. So those are pretty much like my only teams now. I did
Gotcha.
start off with 4 earlier. I did
That's a
talk
lot.
with yeah. I did talk with an Australian team. I'm pretty sure you guys already know who those guys are, and we'll see what happens later on.
All right, very, very cool. You have anything you want to chat about before we head out of here, Verdict?
This week's schedule maybe. I think that we could end it out on
Hey,
that note.
yeah, we can.
You guys gonna Tim the Tatman me?
Which one is it? The one with Doctor Disrespect and their King of the Hill?
Well, are you gonna make me do predictions and everybody loses?
Yeah, we could do that. Oh yeah,
Oh,
let's do
oh
it.
yeah.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah,
All
Sylvia
right.
had a fire tweet about that. Anything Tim the Tatman bets on, you can feel safe to bet against it. Oh man. All right, I guess I'll do NA and then we'll have Verdict. You can run through EU and we'll call it a night there. So for our matchups this week, starting tomorrow, will be on Bobby's channel and Thursday on my channel. We have Cygnus versus Seminole, Goofy
Ooh.
Goobers versus Status Quo, Storm versus Shreddit, and Yo Mama versus Explicit.
Oh my god, those are like fire matches, game 1 and game 4. Um, I don't know who would come out on top in the first game, honestly. Also, both of teams have put in work, but Seminole would be like the advantage there. They have like a stronger team play. They have stronger comms overall. Those guys are gonna do phenomenal. So I'd pick Seminole on that. Second game, I would say it could either be a 2-0 or a 2-1 for Goofy Goobers, depending on the S&D. Game 3, who was it again on game
Yo,
3?
it's Moralto's team. Just ban standoff. Easy.
That's true. That's true. He can't wall bang.
Third game
Uh,
was Storm versus Shreddit.
oh, I don't know about those two teams too well. Who's on Storm?
Easy.
Yeah, that's FaZe's team.
Oh,
So
it's FaZe. Okay.
that's Asta, Nerdy, Yawn, Losty, FaZe, and Ao Raf. And then Shreddit is Sins, Naz, Scott, Nezia, Cupcake, Slaya, and Modzi.
It could be a 2-0 for FaZe's team there.
Call it a 2-1. Search and
Yeah,
Destroy
call it
lost.
2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shreddit have been looking really good in search.
Shreddit looked pretty solid
They're
in Search.
in search. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you can tell I haven't been watching lately.
It's okay. We're here. We got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll hold
but
your hand all the way through. Don't worry.
match 4. Jeez, can't even remember who the two teams are, but I knew it was a fire lineup.
Just to put it into perspective real quick, I hate to go back to this, but Shreddit did take a search and destroy off Cygnus pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
Did they actually? Was it like a 6-0, 6-1?
6-2? Yeah, 6-2.
That's That's pretty
Mine,
good.
well, we'll throw it in the, throw that in here that it was a Cygnus without Psy.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. It's still Cygnus though.
It's still Cygnus though. You're right, but it is a Cygnus without Psy, which is pretty important information because they lost a Search and Destroy against a team that they were up on. It was a 6-4. Who was it that they played this past week that we casted? It was a close game. It was the same map.
As far as Cygnus goes,
No, as far as Shredder goes.
they played Yo Mama.
Okay, and it was a close Search and Destroy.
It was a good Search and Destroy.
Jeez. Against Zim's team? Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm gonna go with a 2-1. That's actually pretty good. Game 4 it was explicit against who?
Yo
11
Mama.
team? Or Yo Mama? Oh fuck.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to go 2-1 explicit on that actually.
okay.
Whew.
Like the
I'll
way
bet against
explicit
yeah.
the way explicit's been playing, like if they keep that shit up, jeez. I do think that like they're pretty strong squad. I mean, their coach is he's a hardworking guy, so gotta give props to the man.
Do you want to blow through Tuesday
Yeah,
lineup for Europe?
Yeah, we're gonna run through it quickly. I won't put you through the brutalness of trying to pick because we got 2 new teams in the mix, and it makes things a lot more difficult when you're trying to pick. Match 1 for Tuesday is gonna be Nova and Euro Elite, who didn't make it through qualifiers, but on the backs of Aphelion and I'm not even sure. It looks like Olympus is out. So Olympus and Aphelion are out.
So there are only 8 teams left? What?
Well, they added 2 teams.
They added 2 teams.
Oh, because
Euro Elite was a
Clash
team
and
was
Euro
added.
Elite, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
Nova and Euro Elite, I mean, I'll just say that's going to be Nova win. FN420 versus Clash.
Nova.
We'll just say FN420 picks that one up if they don't want a 4v5. If they only have 4 available, I'm not throwing shade, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Those are pretty easy picks there.
Match 3 and 4 look like they're pretty promising. Animus and 117 not found.
I do a 2-0 with Animus on that one actually.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
And then we've got a battle of qualifier teams. One team showing a little bit more improvement, and then another team who hasn't shown anything. And I'll let you, choose which one is which. Omniscient versus Elysium.
I do 2-1 for Elysium. Omni could actually.
Wow, that's
really?
Yeah, Omni could possibly surprise you. Like they're that type of team where they're gonna do bad, and then all of a sudden just have one great day where they're just gonna pop off. So
that was pretty much qualifiers.
Yeah, like they could have a pop off week. I mean, if Jim's still on the lineup, he made Masters in Apex. Like he's ready to play COD now.
I like the insider information there.
Oh, you didn't watch the stream the other day, Verdict? What kind of
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
The stream pulled up earlier, but then you went live. Yeah, I'm terrible.
No, dude, he grinded so hard for that Masters. They give him props for that.
Good shit.
All right. Well, I think that's where we're going to close it out. If you have anybody you want to shout out, go ahead, Image. But other than that, we're ready to start gearing up for a raid.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, boys. I'll see you later on.
All right. No shout out from Image. All right. Well, thanks for coming
by.
He
shouted us out, dude. Come on, dude. Come on.
All right.
Fair.
Fair. But we're bots. That shouldn't count.
I don't need to shout out anybody, bro. I'll shout out Tectonic. He's right there, bro.
There you go. There you go.
Shout out to Ghoul too.
Legends shouting out legends. I love it.
I gotta shout out the boys in the chat, Physics, Mitsumi, those guys.
There you go.
And Matt. There we go. Those are the shout outs.
No, fuck Matt, dude. Don't even get me started on Matt. Fuck Matt, bro.
All right, guys, we're gonna get a raid rolling. Thank you so much, Image, for coming by. Thank you always to you as well, Verdict, for coming through and doing the show with me. And we'll see you guys next week. We don't have a guest announcement today. I am gonna start trying to do an announcement at the end of each of the episodes of who the next guest is, so that you guys can get excited about that and decide if you want to come or not. But be on the lookout. We'll probably have that on Twitter tomorrow. So you guys have a great night. We'll see you next time.